Dear students, in this video lecture, we are going to cover the early life history of Mahatma Gandhi, or the father of the nation as we fondly call him. So basically, this lecture would be about the formative years of Mahatma Gandhi when he was not so famous in India. And also the story of how did he actually, became famous in India before even entering Indian politics. You'd be surprised to know that before even entering Indian politics, almost you can say that 10 to 20% of the Indian politicians knew him by name when he was still practicing in South Africa. So such was his you can say glamour or craze. So this is the story, or in this lecture we would be covering the early part or early life history of Mahatma Gandhi when he was mostly operational in, or you can say non-operational in India, operational in places like South Africa and England. So let us see. So this iconic picture that you see before you, so this gentleman that you can see with fluffy hairs, you won't because when you think of Mahatma Gandhi, you get to think of that bald patch and all that. But you can see our Bapu was so handsome, during his young days. So this is Bapu, and this is his office in South Africa. So let's begin the story of this great personality, or perhaps should I say the greatest Indian of modern times. So let's see who Mahatma Gandhi was, what took him to South Africa, what brought him back to India, what made him involve himself in the politics of the day. So let's begin now. So first things first, birth and early childhood. So Gandhi ji, when he was born, his birth name was Mohan Das, and his father's name was Karamchand. So, as per the prevailing practices, because he was a Gujarati, so during those time or even in today's times, the name of the father is added as a middle name of your. This is your name. This is your father's name. So his complete name, as we know today, is Mohan Das, which is his name as a child. Karamchand, his father's name, which got added to his name, and Gandhi, his family title. So Gandhi ji was born on 2nd October 1869 in Porbandar. So Porbandar is a town which was, at that time there was no concept of state. So Kathiawad was a province of, when we say province, means it was under a native Indian ruler, not actually controlled by the Britishers. So Gandhiji was born in a province, not controlled by Britishers. You should remember this. Gandhiji's father's full name was Karamchand Uttam Das Gandhi. So this Uttam Das must have been Gandhiji's grandfather, going by tradition, middle name tradition. Karamchand his father, Uttam Das father's middle name, that means father's father. So anyways, so Gandhiji's father served as a diwan. Diwan means, if you take it in equivalent terms, he was the prime minister of Porbandar. So Gandhiji was born to a very rich father, rich and powerful father. So his mother, Putli Bai, was a deeply religious lady. So that's why, during the childhood days itself, Gandhiji had also developed deeply religious thoughts. So he used to study or learn stories from Puranas, Vedics, which he have mentioned in his biography later on. So from there on, good habits inculcated in his, or became part of his personality. So Gandhiji was the fourth and the last child of Karamchand and Putlibai. That means he was the youngest and the most loved child of the couple. So this Putlibai was actually the third wife of Karamchand, because his earlier two wives have died due to diseases. So this was the family structure, or the family in which Mahatma Gandhi was born. So in 1876, Karamchand became the Diwan of Rajkot and shifted there along with his family. That means he was when Gandhiji was born, he was the Diwan of Porbandar. That means you can say Prime Minister of Porbandar. But now he shifts to a bigger kingdom. Rajkot is a more prosperous kingdom. So now he gets an offer to become the Diwan there, and he shifts from Porbandar to Rajkot, taking his family along with him. Let me tell you, give some additional facts to you. So when he left the position of Diwan of Porbandar, so Karamchand's brother became the next Diwan. That means Gandhiji's fathers and uncles, they were very powerful and influential people. You must always keep this in mind. This is how politicians are made. You have to have the backing, sort of your family. So now Gandhiji gets married. So Gandhiji was admitted in a local school at Rajkot, because I already told you that his father had become the Diwan at Rajkot. So it was natural that the family was now living at Rajkot. And it was at Rajkot that his formal education was started. So let me tell you something. As a child, Mahatma Gandhi was not very good at studies, and he was also ill most of the time. So his studies started late. So his studies actually started when the family had already shifted to Rajkot. In 1883, when Mahatma Gandhi was only 13 years old, he was married to a girl which was 1 year older to him. That means Kasturba Gandhiji was 14 years old. He was 13 years old at the time of their marriage. So he was married to a 14-year-old girl, Kasturba Bai Kapadia. So both were Gujaratis. 2 years after their marriage, the couple had their first baby, who died barely months later. That means their first child died due to disease, because during those times, medical facilities was not that prevalent, and even if present, was not of that quality. So the couple later on became parents of 4 sons. That means if today somebody asks you that how many children did Mahatma Gandhi had, you'll have to say that he had 4 children and all were sons, 4 sons. But his first child was lost due to disease, died barely months. So you can just understand what kind of sadness Mahatma Gandhi must have felt, or what kind of a mood he must have been in. Weeks after losing his first child, Gandhiji lost his father in the year 1885. That means the same year, at a gap of few weeks, he lost his father as well. That means within months he gets double blow. First his child is dead, then a few weeks later his father is also dead. So many tragedies are taking place in his life. Now Gandhiji decides of becoming a lawyer. At the age of 18, Gandhiji completed his high school and wanted to pursue law just like his elder brother. As I already told you that Gandhiji had other brothers as well. He was the last child of his parents. So his elder brothers were doing law. So it was natural that he got inclined to do that. So in 1888, 18-year-old Gandhi sailed for London, England to study law. Because during that time, if you have to practice law, the entire setup was British administration, British courts, because the courts were set up by the British. So you have to learn law taught by the Britishers. That's why if you have to become a good lawyer, good attorney, or good barrister during those times, you have to take knowledge from a British institution, and British institutions were available in Britain. So that's why he was forced to go to London, because he had already decided that I would be becoming a lawyer. So when he was only 18 years old, he was quite young. So he leaves for London because he wants to become a lawyer. So after reaching London, he enrolled in the University College of London. So it was the and is today a reputed college. So, see, this is college. So, in a college, there are many departments. One of those department was law department. So, you can say the law department of University College of London was known as Inner Temple. Inner Temple was the law department, or you can say it was a separate college in itself. So, Gandhiji was invited because you simply cannot go pay fee and get enroll yourself. So you'll have to clear a few tests. So Gandhiji cleared those tests and he was finally invited to enroll. So you can say he has got his law degree from Inner Temple. It is a very, very prestigious, you know, law entity even today. The interesting thing that I would like to share with you is that a few years later, Jawaharlal Nehru took admission at the same college, Inner Temple. That means both Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru are lawyers by degree. They have taken a degree in law and both have done law from the same college. Mahatma Gandhi was senior of Jawaharlal Nehru, though they never met, but technically speaking, Mahatma Gandhi was senior to Jawaharlal Nehru. They belong to the same alma mater, same college. So that's why it's written here. It is interesting to note that later on Nehru would pass out from the same Inner Temple College. Let me give you an additional information. So there is an Inner Temple. So there was a Middle Temple College as well. So all these temple colleges were meant for law. So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was almost the same age of Mahatma Gandhi. So he has also done his law from Middle Temple colleges. So that's why it is said that the earlier Congress was the family of lawyers. All the big Congress leaders of that time of the freedom struggle were basically lawyers by education. So this is how our Bapu looked after getting his degree. Now he has all, full suit boot. He has become English. So transformation, you can notice the transformation. So anyways, now he is a lawyer. Now let's see what happens next in his life. So it took 3 years for Gandhiji to earn his law degree because he has taken a proper degree. It took him 3 years. So he has reached London in the year 1888 and after 3 years, that means he completed his degree in 1891 AD. So during those 3 years, he had almost, very frequent, he used to write very frequent letters to his families. And in those letters, Gandhiji has mentioned that when at London, so he felt the need of dressing like English people, talking in English. So he used to even take piano classes and guitar classes, so that he can develop all those British habits. So he has written that when he was young, he did not understand that British rule was bad for India. He actually used to appreciate British rule. So he himself has confessed that it was later on that he realized that what Britishers were doing to India. Anyways, now Gandhiji has become a lawyer. Now he has to start his career as a lawyer. So let's see how does he do in his career. So upon returning to India in 1891, Gandhiji learned that his mother had died just weeks earlier. Actually, the mother had died quite earlier, but news was not passed on to Mahatma Gandhi because his final exams were going on. So he was very angry at his brothers. He have written all these things. I am not making up because there is a biography available. It is an actually autobiography. Gandhiji himself has written his autobiography. What is the name of the autobiography? My Experiments with Truth. We are going to cover all these facts in the subsequent videos. So just stay with us. You're not going to miss out on a single fact. So My Experiments with Truth. So anyways, so after struggling to find work as a lawyer in India, Gandhi obtained a 1-year contract to perform legal services in South Africa. See, Gandhi ji have never planned that I am going to go to foreign land to start my career. It all happened by chance. One thing led to the other. So he had already completed his law degree, but he was not able to find some good quality work as a lawyer. So during that time he got an offer that if you are not getting work in India, why don't you go to South Africa? See, during that time South Africa had already become a big destination of NRIs because these Britishers were ruling over South Africa as well. So they used to take slaves from India to South Africa, and when all this was happening, there were, you can say, almost like half a million Indians were living in South Africa. So it was a very big community then. Today it is even bigger. So somebody who knew his father approached him, told him that, Mohandas, see, you are not getting work here, but I have work for you in South Africa. So his name was Dada Abdullah. He was from Kathiawar, same place where Mahatma Gandhi was born. He was actually a family friend of his father. So Dada Abdullah's family was living in South Africa. So his brother had to fight a case in South Africa. So Dada Abdullah thought that let me give chance to my friend's son. Friend's son's name was Gandhiji Mohandas. So he hired Gandhi to fight a legal case in Natal. So Natal was a province in South Africa. So capital of Natal was Durban. So Durban is a very important town of South Africa. So Natal was also an important, well prospering province. So now this guy Dada Abdullah sends Mahatma Gandhi to South Africa. He says, go to South Africa, fight my brother's case, and then you can come back to India. You will get reputation, you will gain reputation as a lawyer. So if you want, you can go to South Africa. Gandhiji agrees. So in April 1893, he sailed for Durban in South African state of Natal. It was actually the capital city of Natal. Gandhiji was told, this guy Dada Abdullah told him that it will hardly take you 1 year to complete the legal case. So Gandhiji was told that he may have to live in South Africa for about an year. But fate had some other plans. However, Gandhiji spends next 21 years of his life in Africa. Just think, a person who had no plans to going to South Africa ultimately spends 21 years of his life in South Africa. So something great must have happened, something interesting must have happened, because of which he stayed in South Africa. So let us see what happened. So Gandhiji reaches South Africa. Why did he go to South Africa? Because he went there to fight a legal case. But troubles started brewing. Gandhiji faced lot of racial discrimination in South Africa at the hand of white Europeans. So as I already told you, just like India was ruled by the Britishers, same was the condition of South Africa. It was also under captivity, or you can say under foreign rule. So in South Africa, because see, Mahatma Gandhi was born in Kathiawar. Kathiawar was not actually controlled by Britishers. So he was not actually, he had not seen, or you can say he has not had the first hand experience of discrimination at the hand of Europeans. It is actually in South Africa that he witnessed that. What kind of racial discrimination? So you are not European, that means you are a lesser of a human being. You will be treated as a less kind of a human being. So he was kicked by a policeman for walking on footpaths reserved for white people. So there were entire footpaths which were reserved only for white people. That means a non-European or a non-white person cannot even walk on that particular footpath. But Gandhiji was not aware of all these rules. So once he was using one such footpath which was reserved for white people, and he was fined for doing that. He was kicked. He was literally kicked. I am not making all this story. Gandhiji has written. So he was actually kicked out by a policeman. And in one instance, when he was passing through a colony, he had no idea that the colony that he was passing through was an all white colony. That means only white people were living there. So what happens? He was fined because somebody who is not white should have not entered those colonies. So this kind of discrimination becomes part of his life. Also, he notices that Indians, Chinese, as well as other Asian nationals, that means people who belong to Asian countries, had to always carry a special pass to move across the city. For example, if you are moving from one place to the other, you will have to pass through certain zones which were exclusively under control of British. So they were always checking passes. Who are you? Why do you want to come inside? Why do you want to enter the city? So not everybody, but only these people who were not Europeans, who were not white, Indians, Chinese, Asians, they were facing discrimination. Also, Indians cannot buy land or rent a house without taking permission from the administration. Today, just understand, anybody can buy land anywhere. But during those times, even if you have settled in South Africa, you have taken the citizenship of South Africa, but still you cannot buy land without taking permission, not from South Africa, but from Britishers. So this is what discrimination is. Now there was a life-turning event which made Mahatma Gandhi decide that he is going to stay in South Africa and he is going to fight back discrimination. What happened? So you can see in this diagram, this is Mahatma Gandhi. This is the bogie of a train. Natal Government Railways. That means this train is in South Africa. What happened? Once when he was traveling in a first class bogie of a train, the TTE means traveling ticket examiner, the person who asks or checks your ticket, the TTE forced him to leave the compartment as he was not a European. Because as I already told you, there was a concept of reserving entire bogie, entire footpath, entire colony for Europeans. So by mistake, Gandhiji had entered a bogie which was meant only for Europeans, but he had the ticket, he had bought the proper ticket, but that bogie was not supposed for non-white people. So that TT asked him to go to another bogie. TT told him that you are sitting in a bogie which is not meant for you. You are not a European, you are not a white person. But Gandhi said that this is very humiliating. I have a proper ticket. I am not going to another bogie. So the TT threw him. The TT threw him off when the train stopped at this station, Maritzburg station. Today it is known as Pietermaritzburg. That time it was simply known as Maritzburg. So today it is a very famous question of Indian history. At which station was Mahatma Gandhi forced to get down? So answer would be Pietermaritzburg, and you know why he was forced to get down. So that day onwards, so that day was 7th June 1893. You don't have to remember this date, but simply understand it. This happened just the year Mahatma Gandhi had reached South Africa. It was hardly an year Mahatma Gandhi was in South Africa. Why did he go to South Africa? He go to South Africa to fight a case. His plan was, I will fight the case and within a year I will return back to India. But because of this event, he was determined that let me do something to change this situation. Why should I face the discrimination? So now he decides that he is going to stay in Africa and he is going to fight. So that's why it is said that from that fateful night, the small unassuming man would grow into a giant force of civil rights. So today you can see this plaque which is placed in his honor at the same station. So let's read what is written here. In the vicinity of this plague, M.K. Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchandra Gandhi, was evicted from the first class compartment on the night of 7 June, the incident that I mentioned here. So, this is done in honor of Mahatma Gandhi by the South African government. So, today he is a very well respected figure all over the world, but he has a special connection with India as well as South Africa. So all this happened with Gandhiji. He already made up his mind that now he will do something. So how will he do? He is just an individual. So now he needs an organization. So now Mahatma Gandhi decides that he is going to enter into South African politics. South African politics does not mean that he wanted to fight election, but he wanted to do something to better the condition of Indians who have made South Africa their home. They were not tourists there. They have decided to live in South Africa. And Indians are facing such bad condition. Then something must be done. So now Gandhiji have decided that he is going to do something. So though the case which brought him to Africa was over by the end of 1894, because he had thought that hardly it would take an year. So the case was actually over by the end of 1894, but the native Indian population of South Africa approached Gandhi to lead a legal battle against the discriminatory legislation which prohibited Indians from voting. So you can see this was the office of Mahatma Gandhi. So he was doing good as a lawyer, and people of Indian origin used to visit his legal office. So people told Gandhiji that okay, it's okay that your case is over, but please don't go back to India. Please fight for us. So there was this particular law which did not allow Indians to participate in election. You would say that why should Indians participate in South African election? But these Indians are the Indians who have accepted the citizenship of South Africa. They could not vote. They could not even participate in the election. And if they see later on, a few changes were made that if you have to fight election, you will have to pay heavy amount of taxes. Practically, it was a method to exclude Indian population from entering politics. So Gandhiji thought that let me do something about it, and it was actually the people of Indian origin who requested Gandhiji that you are a lawyer, then why don't you fight this case for us in the South African courts. So Gandhiji thinks that now I am making stronger enemies, now I am entering politics. I alone cannot do anything. I may get killed, I may get arrested any day. So now let me have an organization. So that's why organizations are needed. So Gandhiji formed the Natal Indian Congress. Natal was the name of the province he was living in, and you can understand Indian Congress, in 1894 to fight discrimination. See, Indian National Congress was already formed in 1885 AD. Gandhiji was getting all the news that Indians are getting politically aware. So he named his organization as Natal Indian Congress in 1894 to fight discrimination. So after establishing a thriving legal practice in South Africa, he brought his family from India in 1897. That means he have already made up his mind that he is going to stay in South Africa. So he thought that let me bring my family to South Africa now. How long will they stay alone in India? So it means he has fully made up his mind that for some years he is going to stay in South Africa only. He is not going to return back. That's why he brought his family in. He brought his family from India to South Africa in 1897. Now Mahatma Gandhi have already entered into politics. He already have an organization. So now he will do some political activities. So his first involvement with the British administration was through the Boer War. Now what were these Boer Wars? Now Boer is an African term for farmers. Just like Indians were fighting for freedom struggle, the Africans were also fighting for their own freedom struggle. From whom? From Britishers, because Britishers were ruling over most of the countries of Africa at that time, South Africa being the most prominent one. Fine. So these farmers were known as Boer, and these farmers fought two wars, two large scale wars against the South African British administration. So these two wars are known as Boer War. In the first war, these Boer people had defeated the British. They had defeated the British. In the second Boer War, they again, I mean, these Boer people again started the second war against the British. Now, what will Gandhiji do? See, Gandhiji had till that time had not developed his political thoughts so much that he could understand that is British rule good or bad. So his view was, let British rule. They are not here to exploit. This is what Mahatma Gandhi used to think. So he thought that let us help British. You would say that naturally Mahatma Gandhi would have helped these Boer people. No, he helped the British people. British people, because his view was that British are doing good to not only to India but also to South Africa. But they have some little problems. But their administration is in general interest of native people. That was what Mahatma Gandhi used to think. So what did Mahatma Gandhi do to help the Britishers? So he formed his group of volunteers, and these volunteers would assist the wounded British soldiers in war. So they were basically driving ambulance, and in those ambulance they used to carry the wounded British soldiers. So the British had lost the first Boer War, resulting in the Boers gaining freedom of Transvaal area. Transvaal was another province. Gandhiji was living in Natal. So in second Boer War, Natal was under threat. Transvaal had already gained independence in first Boer War. So in second Boer War, Natal was under attack. And let me tell you the truth. So when these Boer Wars were going on, some Indians were also attacked and harmed. So there is no denying the fact. That's why also Mahatma Gandhi thought of siding with the British people. So during the outbreak of the second Boer War in 1899, this date is important. Why? Because this is the first time, Mahatma Gandhi extended helping hand to British people, because he was of the belief that British are here for general good. They are not exploitative. At least that is what he thought till then. So what did Mahatma Gandhi do? Gandhi gathered around 1100 Indians, and organized the Indian Ambulance Corps to help the British during the war. So you can see in this picture, this is how the Indian Ambulance Corps looked like. So what did Gandhiji do? He actually helped the British people. Because of this incident, later on, 16 years later, when Mahatma Gandhi had become a big politician, in 1899 he was nothing. He was a small person. He was a lesser known personality. But in 1915 he had already grown in scale and popularity. So 16 years later, British awarded him the title of Kaisar-e-Hind, and they told him that we are giving you Kaisar-e-Hind because 16 years ago you have helped us in Boer War. So this is a very important fact to remember, that why was Gandhiji given Kaisar-e-Hind, when was he given, and by whom he was given. So he was given Kaisar-e-Hind by Britishers in 1915. Why? For helping them 16 years ago. That means in 1899 in second Boer War. So now Gandhiji is getting more political and political in nature. So he also thinks of involving himself in Indian politics, because he is an Indian after all. So Gandhiji comes in contact with Indian politics. How? Gandhiji went to India for a brief visit in 1901. He had made up his mind that I am supposed to live in South Africa. So he came just for a brief visit. His purpose was to come to Bombay to establish his office there because he was a lawyer. He thought that let me start my legal office at Bombay also. So he started his legal office in Bombay but did not get any substantial work. Gopal Krishna Gokhale of Congress was active in Bombay. So here is great freedom fighter Gopal Krishna Gokhale. He was from you can say Gujarat province because that time there was no Maharashtra and Kathiawad was also part of Gujarat only. So they both belong to same province and hence you can say they were close to each other. They came close to each other. Moreover, he was active in Mumbai region and Mahatma Gandhi was looking to establish his legal practice in Bombay. So they came in contact with each other. And from that day onward, Gopal Krishna Gokhale took Mahatma Gandhi under his mentorship. That means Gopal Krishna Gokhale became Gandhiji's mentor. Under Gokhale's influence, Gandhi made his first appearance on Congress platform at Calcutta session of Congress in 1901. So you can see this picture taken in 1901. Here is Gopal Krishna Gokhale. This picture has been taken during the Congress session. Congress session means Indian National Congress was already formed in 1885. So every year they used to meet in December to conduct a session. Every year, 1885, 86, 87 and so on. So in 1901 they were meeting at Calcutta. So Gopal Krishna Gokhale told Gandhi that I am going to Calcutta and you are interested in politics, you are actively involved in doing politics in South Africa, then why don't you join Congress? So please remember the fact, the first time Mahatma Gandhi attended a Congress session was at Calcutta session in 1901, a very frequently asked question. So please remember this. But soon Gandhiji returned back to Africa. That means he attended session but did not join Congress. Why didn't he join Congress? Because he knew that my family is living in South Africa. I have started an organization in South Africa. So it's time for me to go back to South Africa. So he went back to South Africa. But now he had also come in contact with Indian politicians. So he started a newspaper known as Indian Opinion in 1903. So this newspaper was published from South Africa, not from India. So he used this newspaper to raise issues, Indian related issues of both South Africa and India, because now he wanted to project himself as an Indian politician as well as South African politician. So now he is using his newspaper. Now he is using his newspaper to raise issues of India because he is living in South Africa. So nobody is giving him the value as politician back home in India. So now he is writing essays about India in his newspaper so that his credibility as an Indian politician is also established. Now, the next thing or most important thing that Gandhiji did was the concept of opening ashrams. Now, please understand, most of the people who used to approach Mahatma Gandhi were not financially sound. They didn't have that much money with them. And they used to approach Mahatma Gandhi to fight legal cases or to participate in some kind of movement. So there was threat to their life. So what Mahatma Gandhi thought that it is easy to harm one person, but you cannot harm a group of person. So he thought of opening ashrams. So if you open ashrams, all your followers come and stay there. So they stay there, they cook food there, they grow food there, and that way you get a closer knit organization. Your organization becomes more and more stronger. So that was the concept behind opening ashrams in Africa. So where did these ashrams were opened? So Natal and Transvaal were two neighboring cities with large Indian population. So Mahatma Gandhi was a native of Natal. Please remember this. So Gandhi ji came up with the idea of starting settlement known as farms. Farms in Indian terms, ashrams. Settlement known as farms at both these places to help organize the fight against discrimination. Fine? So now he is opening ashrams. He wants to gather his supporters at one place. So Gandhi ji himself lived at Durban but would spend most of his time at these two farms. So he opened two farms in South Africa, one at Natal, the other at Transvaal. The first farm that he opened was at Transvaal. So Transvaal is a province. So in that province, the most important city was Johannesburg. So Phoenix Farm was started at Johannesburg in 1904. Please remember the name of the farm and the place where it was opened. If you can remember 1904, very good. But these questions have been asked many times. See, if I highlight something, you have to understand that it is important from the perspective of questions getting asked. The second farm was Tolstoy Farm, which was opened in 1910, and it was opened with the help of a South African lawyer known as Kallenbach. He was a follower of Mahatma Gandhi, and this was opened in Natal, where Mahatma Gandhi himself used to live. So Mahatma Gandhi used to live in Durban, so this ashram was opened on the outskirts of Durban. The other thing that you have to understand, why was the second farm named Tolstoy Farm? See, Mahatma Gandhi had a newspaper, and through that newspaper he used to write many articles. So his name started becoming popular. So Leo Tolstoy was a Russian author, and he also used to write in newspapers. So Tolstoy used to read the essays written by Mahatma Gandhi, and in his newspaper he used to appreciate that who is this Indian who is fighting the British establishment in South Africa. So this way Tolstoy and Mahatma Gandhi had a mentor-student relation. Tolstoy used to exchange messages with Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi used to write letters to Tolstoy, and hence if question is asked, who is the first political mentor of Mahatma Gandhi, if you see Tolstoy in the option and Gokhale in the option, answer would be Tolstoy, not Gokhale. Gokhale was his mentor in Indian politics, but his first political mentor was Tolstoy. So while fighting with the government, Gandhiji and his followers launched Satyagraha. So what is Satyagraha? See, if you are fighting somebody, you have different approaches. Either you can use force, you can use gun, you can kill the other person, you can defeat the other person, and you win the battle. Gandhiji thought that violence is of no good. So you can fight back somebody passively by good qualities of your character. Focus on good qualities of your character. That means you stay true to your values. Do not attack other. Just stick with what you think is good for you. Passive resistance. So this concept is known as Satyagraha. The major problem was the financial resources. That means if you have to fight the government, you need money, and people are poor. So these people started to live together. If you live together, your expenses are reduced. You get more time to devote to the movement because you have other people to take care of your family and children. So that's why these ashrams came up. So keeping all these things in mind, Gandhiji established these two farms, and the most prominent one was Tolstoy Farm because it was near a bigger city of Durban. So later on, when Gandhiji came back to India, in India also he established many ashrams. So this was the concept behind starting the ashrams. So in these ashrams, all human activities involved like farming, prayers, education for children, manual work, that means you have to dig drains, dig wells, Everything was done by the inhabitants themselves. Self-dependent community living, domestication of animals, etc. So that was more of a self-sustained system. You don't have to buy food and vegetable from market. You just grow it here, eat it here, and get it done. That was the concept of farms. Now he has opened his farms. He has developed the idea of satyagraha. Now, what will he do with this idea and farms? He will obviously fight back the government. So now Gandhiji continues his resistance. In 1906, Gandhiji organized his first mass satyagraha. Mass means large scale of people were involved. Please remember this. When? In 1906. Why did he do the satyagraha? Because the Transvaal government, the Transvaal was a province. So the government of Transvaal had passed on an order which said that if two Hindus are marrying each other, so it African government is not going to recognize this unless one of the partner is a South African or an African native. So they are not going to recognize that marriage. If two Hindus marry, it is none of their business. So this law was passed. So to oppose this law, the first mass satyagraha was launched. So on 10th January 1908, Mahatma Gandhi was arrested for the first time in South Africa. You have to remember all these highlighted facts. When was he arrested for the first time? In 1908. Where was he arrested? In South Africa, not in India. Why was he arrested? So you just remember this. It's not important to mug it up, but just understand that if he was arrested, why was he arrested? So as I already told you that during those times, Indians living in South Africa were forced to carry passes. That means if you are walking on this footpath, do you have the pass? If you are going through this colony, do you have the pass? So Mahatma Gandhi thought of disobeying this pass system. So he refused to carry any such passes because he have already made up his mind that I'm not going to follow any rules because I want to fight against this discrimination. Why should I follow all these discriminatory rules? So this is the first time Gandhiji was sent to jail. Year was 1908. He was released 2 months later. That means the first time he went to jail, he had to spend 2 months in jail. So this way his resistance with the British is gaining momentum. In 1909, Gandhiji travelled to London pushing for the rights of South African Indians. Remember, he had taken his degree of law from London. So he had many friends in London. Many of them were Indians. So he had a good reception in London. So people knew who Mahatma Gandhi. That time he was not Mahatma, he was Mohandas Gandhi. So people knew that Mohandas Gandhi is a upcoming politician. So he was treated well in London. So in London also he did not go for Indian freedom struggle. His main focus was still on South African politics. He had not yet taken full-time interest in Indian politics. Please mind this. He is still involved with discrimination in South Africa. So ultimately, when he reached London, London is the homeland of Britishers, and there he started giving lectures, writing letters and all petitions. So this had an effect. So London ordered Transvaal, because Transvaal was also governed by London only, and finally the Transvaal registration law was repealed. So what was this Transvaal registration law? That Hindu marriages are not going to be recognized. So after this, that means in the time period of 1913 to 14, Gandhiji continued his resistance and peaceful protests against discriminatory African laws like poll tax. That means if a non-European have to fight elections, he will have to pay heavy amount of money just for fighting an election, and non-recognition of Hindu marriages. That means he continued his fight. And he won a few fights as well. You can see Transvaal registration law was repealed. Finally, in 1914, that means after spending almost 21 years in South Africa, he decides to go back to his homeland. That means he decides to come back to India. So when he was about to leave, Smuts, the Prime Minister of Transvaal, reached an agreement with Gandhi ending the protest. Large scale protests were going on against this discriminatory laws. So finally, why did Gandhiji come back to India? Because he have won the final battle. They have reached the agreement. He was not interested in entire South Africa. He was interested in where Indian population was concentrated. Indian population was concentrated in Natal and Transvaal. He won the battle at both the places, so his job was over. So it's time for him to go back to India. So he had won the battle at South Africa. So Smuts was the Prime Minister of Transvaal at that time. In 1984 itself, Gandhiji sails to England just at the outbreak of World War I. So Gandhiji understood that my job in Africa is done now. So let me go back to my homeland. So before returning back to India, he once again goes to England. The World War had just begun. So now Gandhiji finally returns back to his homeland, his own country. So he came back, or you can say he reached India on 9th January 1915. Gandhiji returns home to India. The date is 9th January 1915. Please remember this date and year as well. So this is the final time that Gandhiji is coming to India. Now he is not going to go back anywhere. He will stay in India, fight for India. Since he had come back on 9th January, so as of today, 9th January is celebrated as Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Pravasi means non-resident Indian. Because just understand, at that time Mahatma Gandhi was a non-resident Indian. He was an African citizen. So he was a non-resident Indian who came back on 9th January, and because of that, today 9th January is celebrated as Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. A hero's welcome awaited Gandhi when he landed on January 9, 1915 in Bombay. Fine. So why? Because through newspapers, through politicians like Gopal Krishna Gokhale, everybody was aware that Mahatma Gandhi was a great personality. Though he had done nothing much on Indian soil, but still he was popular. Popular because he was fighting for Indian rights in South Africa, not for Japanese right or Chinese right. He was fighting for Indians only. So those Indians have made him popular already. He received a Kaisar-e-Hind gold medal in the King's birthday honors list of 1915. King George V was the king of England at that time. And when Gandhiji landed in India, as a token of appreciation, he was given the title of Kaisar-e-Hind. Why? Because 16 years ago he have helped them in Boer War. Gandhi and his followers found Satyagraha Ashram or the Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad. So this is how the ashram looks like. So he was already familiar with the concepts of ashram or farms. He had already founded 2 farms, Phoenix Farm and Tolstoy Farm back in Africa. So he establishes another farm at Ahmedabad, and this farm is today known as Sabarmati Ashram. When it was found, it was known as Satyagraha Ashram. So this is how the ashram looks like. In this ashram, Gandhiji lived together with his family and followers. Now Gandhiji was already in contact with Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and now he had come back to India. So now he totally went under the guidance of Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So whatever he had to do, he used to discuss it with Gopal Krishna Gokhale ji. But Gandhiji was in no hurry to plunge into politics. His political mentor was Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Gopal Krishna Gokhale and our Mahatma Gandhi. Gokhale had known Gandhi for many years and had even visited South Africa on Gandhi's invitation. That means they shared close relation. Gopal Krishna Gokhale had also gone to South Africa when Gandhiji had asked him to visit there. So apart from being a tall leader of moderate faction of Congress, because Congress had two kinds of people. One were moderate, peace loving, the other were militant, who thought that let's fight head on head with Britishers. So two kind of people. So Gokhale was a moderate, belonged to a moderate faction of Congress. So apart from being a leader of Congress, Gopal Krishna Gokhale had an organization of his own. That means he also had an organization, just like Mahatma Gandhi had an organization, Natal Indian Congress. This is how your political life starts. To become a politician, people start organization. So Gopal Krishna Gokhale also had an organization. So name of that organization was Servants of India Society and its headquarters was at Pune. So Gokhale wanted Mahatma Gandhi to join Servants of India Society, but Mahatma Gandhi was in no hurry to plunge. So he thought that let me understand how things work in India, then I will join. Gandhiji joined the Congress and wanted some time to join Friends of India Society. So this is how Gopal Krishna Gokhale helped Gandhi to enter politics. Now what happened once Gokhale was dead? So Gandhiji thought it wise to take an all India tour before taking up full-time politics. His aim was to familiarize himself with Indian problems before joining politics in India. So Gandhiji said that I don't want to join politics straight away. Let me meet people of different regions of India. Let me form my opinion. Let me understand what their problems are. Only then am I going to join politics. For that he started a tour. He went on a 2-year-long tour of entire India. So he started visiting different places. Once when he was on a visit to Shanti Niketan. So Shanti Niketan is a very prestigious university in West Bengal. So this was started by Ravindranath Tagore. So he was at Ravindranath Tagore's Shanti Niketan when Gandhiji got the news that Gokhale, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, his mentor, was dead. He got the news of his death. So Gandhiji was stunned. Why was he stunned? Because Gokhale did not die of, he died all of a sudden. He was almost the same age of Mahatma Gandhi. So his plans of joining the Servant of India Society was now meaningless because now Gopal Krishna Gokhale was gone. So what's the hurry of, or what's the use? Let's say what's the use of joining Servant of India Society? The chief, the mentor is gone. So after, and please remember, Gandhi had already taken the membership of Indian National Congress. So after 2 years of political touring and meeting, Gandhi was now ready to resume his satyagrahas from Indian soil. So he had already developed the concept of satyagraha, that let's not fight using gun, let's fight using satyagraha. So for that, he had gathered opinion and feedback from entire country by taking this 2-year-long tour. And now he was ready to join politics. Now he said that now I think I can contribute to the freedom struggle of my country. So you will see Gandhiji led 4 satyagraha movements back to back. 4 satyagraha movements back to back, consolidating his position as the single tallest mass leader. So when in 1915, when Gandhi had come back to India, he had done nothing on Indian soil, but he was popular. From 1915 to 1917, he kept on touring the entire country. He had not yet contributed substantially. He was just a famous person. Nobody knew what his strategies are, what his capabilities are. But from 1917 till 1919, he took the entire country by storm. During these 2 years, he led 4 satyagraha back to back, and he became the tallest leader of Indian politics of that time. Within 4 years of returning back from South Africa, he became Bapu, father of the nation, the single tallest mass leader. So, if you have to study Indian freedom properly, you will have to follow what Mahatma Gandhi's contribution are, or you can say, uh, you can consider Mahatma Gandhi as the focal character, the central character in the story of Indian freedom struggle. So, the remaining part of his life is the story of our own freedom struggle, because whatever Mahatma Gandhi did is part of our freedom struggle. So the remaining part of his life we will study through the various movements and satyagrahas that he participated and led.